don't know about you, but personally, doing the exact same thing, it doesn't matter if I love it or not, for every single day of my life till the day I die, sounds like my personal hell. It's so good. Take a second to imagine. What if you were a backup dancer who decided never to take up singing because you thought that wasn't your path and that dancing was your one true love? And even after you take up singing, you get this interest in acting and instead you decide to suppress that because you're already a singer and a dancer. That is J-Lo's multi-hyphenate story. Imagine you're a kid in college and you write a short film, but there's no one around to help you shoot it. And instead of you picking up a camera or gathering a group of friends and directing it, you decide, hey, I'm only a writer. I shouldn't be directing or producing. That is Issa Rae's multi-hyphenate story. Imagine being one of the best chefs in the country, but then you get this idea of starting a TV show around chefs competing, but instead you suppress that. That is essentially Gordon Ramsay's story. Today, because all these people I mentioned decided to listen to their voices and make a conscious decision to pursue multiple passions, they have become one of the most successful and most prominent individuals in their fields. Now let's take a few steps back and focus on you. What are you currently limiting yourself from because the world has told you time and time again that true success means finding one singular thing and focusing 100% of your energy in that one thing? What are you depriving yourself of in this moment? What has the world told you to shut down because it doesn't make sense? In doing my research of multi-hyphenates, I found multi-hyphenates who had found a way to bring together 2 or 3 of the most conflicting interests and still make it work for them. There is a woman called Athena Calderone who identifies as a chef, interior designer, and a podcaster. How those 3 things add up doesn't have to make sense to me, but all that matters is that it makes sense to her and it makes her happy. And that is honestly the beauty of what it means to be a multi-hyphenate in our modern society. My intention in making this video isn't to discount the experience of specialists, or in other words, people who value focusing on one thing and becoming experts in just that one thing. My goal in making this video is to increase visibility of multi-hyphenates and also normalize and promote the idea that being a multi-hyphenate isn't a new thing and it shouldn't be treated as something that is absurd or looked down upon or judged. But what exactly does a multi-hyphenate mean? What exactly does that word mean? To me, a multi-hyphenate is somebody who has multiple passions and interests, and these people make the conscious effort every single day to pursue them because they simply cannot find themselves living a wholesome life pursuing just one of those passions. If you do a quick Google search on the word multi-hyphenate, the definition comes up that says a person, especially a celebrity, with several professions or skills. I read an article that said the word multi-hyphenate originated around the 70s or 80s, and this was because a lot of people who were in the acting industry or Hollywood were kind of like branching out of their singular professions. For instance, actors were becoming writers and directors, and also directors were becoming actors and writers and like writing stuff to star in. Almost every aspect of the Hollywood experience was kind of becoming interchangeable, and people were jumping from, one specialization to the next. And the main reason this was happening was because Hollywood itself was a very unstable industry and people felt like they would have more job security by having different specializations. I believe this is 100% true today, especially since COVID-19 happened. I feel like a lot of people were let go from jobs or were forced to, switch careers because, life events were shut down and different things that were bringing in money during, the pre-COVID times became almost obsolete because those jobs were not really in demand anymore. Even restaurants, like people found themselves in a situation where they didn't want to be in. Job security is not promised and honestly is never promised for anyone. That's something that has been proven to be true in the past and will continue to be true as we move forward with our lives. Let's use me as a case study. As somebody who considers themselves to be 100% a multi-hyphenate, I found that over the years, my skills have definitely crossed paths and merged with like all my different passions. Let's start from when I was a kid. When I was a 13-year-old, I wrote my first ever screenplay. I was trying to write a TV show for Disney Channel, and I wrote it in like the format of a play because I honestly never seen what a screenplay looked like, but I knew for a fact that I had stories inside of me that I wanted to tell through the form of writing and also through the form of television. This is a journal I've had since 2015. Before we continue the video, please take a second to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe below. It really helps. These are all my YouTube video ideas that I used to plan out. These are all my TV show ideas I had. I remember this one was from a dream that I had, and I woke up, it was like a Sunday morning, I wrote all of this down, and then this was the first TV show I ever like plotted out line by line. I was so inspired by Friends that I decided to make this TV show that was literally just like Friends on a boat, because my professor had like mentioned that, you know, to save money, a lot of people are on our age should live on a boat. Literally I have like pages upon pages developing characters, what her job is, her appearance, casting. Let me see who I wanted to cast. I think I probably wanted to cast Blake Lively. Let's see. Oh my god, this is crazy. I literally wrote here Mr.Kate collab, and I guess I wanted to like collab with her to use her beauty marks for this show. I think a year or so later, I won this Mr.Kate book that was signed by her, literally. This is another example of a multi-hyphenate whom I think, you know, has definitely inspired me. I feel like multi-hyphenates find each other, and I think having Mr.Kate in my life from such a young age and just growing up with her has definitely just like crafted me into the person I am and has made me unapologetic about who I am as a creator, a businesswoman, and also a YouTuber. If you don't know who Mr.Kate is, she is an interior designer who began making YouTube videos about her whole process. Imagine if Mr.Kate decided not to post her process on YouTube. She recently had a kid, and like her videos are like gaining almost like 1 million views per video. I work in the industry, that translates to a lot of money per video that she's probably earning, with like brand sponsorships included. She is settled. Okay, what if she decided like, hey, I'm an interior designer, why am I trying to be a YouTuber, and why am I trying to be an author? Like, she literally wrote an entire book which literally has like so many creative ideas. I listened to this podcast called Dear Multi-Hyphenate. When they have new guests who are multi-hyphenates, they basically list out their hyphenates. I'm sure we would all agree that the world definitely doesn't encourage kids to become multi-hyphenates. At the age of, 5, 10, 18, we're constantly asked, what do you want to be? And we're expected to give one answer. And if at the age of 17, we don't know what we want to do yet for the next 30, 50 years of our lives, we're almost looked down upon. And that's something that is definitely damaging to kids. And for me personally, the options were just like always surrounding me. I knew I wanted to like be in fashion. I wanted to do interior design. I wanted to work in television. Also, I think because of access, I found myself pursuing TV writing more, because to be a writer, there's not that many roadblocks for you on the way. It's just like you have a laptop, you have the ideas in your head, right? So I think that was definitely something that affected me pursuing writing way more than like, say, interior design, which meant you had to like get clients and get money and like do all of those things. Even though I did do that, like I literally decorated one of my aunt's houses from like start to finish, and like painted tables, painted her walls, bought, like it was a whole thing. The one thing about multi-hyphenates too that I've been realizing and like hearing from other people who are talking about the subject is how passionate and like 100% committed we are when we do put our minds to something. I'm somebody who, like, if I want to do something, I'm going in. Like, there's no handle rails, there's no hold bars, like I'm in. The idea that the world is trying to deter kids from pursuing multiple interests is a little bit scary to me. Imagine a world where we didn't have any multi-hyphenates. Do you know how boring and just bland that world would be? I feel like encouraging and promoting the idea of multi-hyphenism, did I just make up that word? But promoting that idea definitely allows room for cross-pollination across ideas and fields. Someone who might be a chef going into interior design might have more of an idea of how to decorate a kitchen in a way that is more conducive to cooking, and having someone who is an actor try to write and direct the movie might almost like elevate the art of the entire movie fully. Why should we as a society embrace and allow room for multi-hyphenate people to prosper in and to grow and, bloom? Promoting the idea of multi-hyphenism will allow for people to have a different array of skills, which will allow them to put their eggs in multiple baskets and not just rely on one thing. It gives you job security and allows you to be adaptable. You can easily become almost like a chameleon and transition into another interest of yours. And I feel like in this century, a lot of our personalities and our self-worth is invested in what we do, and sometimes when we put all of our self-worth in one thing and we lose it, this happened to me when I lost my job, we kind of feel lost. So having multiple sources of income and multiple interests definitely keeps you in a more balanced and secure place. Sometimes people can feel like being a multi-hyphenate means, if one thing doesn't work out, you're wasting your time. But I've learned in all my different interests and journeys that whatever I've learned in one season has definitely been transferable into another season and nothing is wasted. I learned photography for a while, and to this day I feel like I'm the best photographer that I know. It's a skill that has been useful and will continue to be useful throughout my life. While you can experience burnout in being both a multi-hyphenate and a specialist, I feel like multi-hyphenates experience burnout in a completely different way. For instance, if you're a specialist and you're focusing on just being, let's say a chemist, and that's the one thing you're doing every single day, there's gonna be a day when you're just like, look, like if I see one more test tube, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, it doesn't matter if you love it or not, like at some point you're gonna get tired of it. That's just human nature. We are always looking for what's, innovative. We're looking for what's next and ways to improve on things. A multi-hyphenate is way more open to maybe pivoting to another skill or another interest and finding a new way to revitalize themselves so that when they come back to the project they're working on, they come back with a fresh perspective. Personally, the most beneficial aspect of being a multi-hyphenate is that it allows you the freedom to take a step back and, reassess and analyze and see where you're at today, instead of just blindly following one thing because you've told yourself over and over again since you were 18 or 17 years old that this is the one thing you're going to do. Like I said, we're human beings. We're always changing. We're always growing. What we like today might not be what we like tomorrow, and the idea that we're supposed to pick one thing and do it for the rest of our lives is just not working anymore for a lot of us. If we don't realize it and make a conscious decision to, change and reroute, then we're just continuing down this path of destruction that is going to lead us to a life filled with unhappiness and just stress for no reason at all. Last year around Christmas time, I began listening to C.S. Lewis's book called Mere Christianity. And I highly recommend this book even if you're not Christian, but he talks about a lot of ideas that just helped open up my mind so much. He says this one thing that has stuck with me for a while and I keep sharing with my friends. It's that if you find yourself going down a wrong path, continuing down that same path is not going to take you to the right path. The only way you can find your right path is to either pivot left or right or turn back and go to the beginning and see where you fell off. The specialist mentality might just tell us that sometimes we're just too far gone to turn back and start at the beginning. Let me give you guys a very real example. If it was up to me, I would have dropped out of college junior year. But because I had this mentality that, hey, I already had all these loans that I'd taken, and I'd already, this was like my third year. I had like one more year to go. And I felt like, hey, you've already gone too far to quit at this point. And looking back, I feel like the year that I spent just like stressing out about school and, trying to get my degree. But I feel like I sacrificed so much of my happiness and like my mental health and just a little bit of myself just to be in a position where I was like, hey, I just want this piece of paper that's gonna help me get a job in the future. If I had heard this advice when I was in college, I honestly would have just like pulled the plug and turned back and reassessed. Another incredibly great thing about multi-hyphenates is that multi-hyphenates are one of the most rounded groups of people you ever meet, just like as human beings, because we have these multiple interests and can relate to a larger group of people. Wherever we go, we're able to have a conversation with people. We're able to talk about different aspects of life and things that someone who might be only focused on one thing might not be able to talk about, because we're just well learned and well educated in different fields. If you put us in a place that is completely foreign to us, it's almost like our superpower, because we've learned time and time again how to start from scratch and become a beginner and learn and grow. We're not that intimidated or scared of new challenges. The single most valuable aspect of being a multi-hyphenate is that multi-hyphenates are not afraid of failure. Our DNA has no fear of failure in it. I have failed so many times that I don't even count anymore. We are rejection soundboards. We bounce out rejection like it's nothing. Learning something new from scratch comes with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of failure, and a lot of rejection, whether it's from people who are already in that industry. We're just really good at letting that fear of failure go. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm always going to give you guys the realistic side of things. A couple of the realities of being a multi-hyphenate include that people might not take you too seriously in the beginning. A lot of people think multi-hyphenates are just people who are so indecisive, they don't know what they want to do, and they're just out here wasting time, and they could just focus on one thing and do it, and that's it. I've realized in my experience that people who see me that way are kind of projecting their own insecurities onto me. There's a sense of jealousy in there. Some people are gonna get very defensive about it. Why do you want to do so many things? It's my life. Why do you care so freaking much about what I'm doing? Don't let that affect you in any way. Another con about being a multi-hyphenate is that sometimes you just want to do too much, and that can lead to burnout in the sense that we don't really have time for other things in our lives because we're trying to build so many different things for ourselves. But the one thing that can help with that is just balance. Find a way to effectively compartmentalize your different interests and schedule different times within your day when you're working on each one. Over time, you're going to see how much time you need for each. Allow time for rest as well. And because multi-hyphenates are so good at so many things, it's really hard for us to accept help, even if someone is offering it to us. And also it's hard for us to ask for help. Please, if you need help, hire someone to help with the things that you could maybe let go of. You don't have to do every single thing. I know that's in our nature, we want to do every single thing, but for you to protect your sanity, it's great to just have help. If I had to leave you with one single thing after watching this entire video, it's that if you say that you're something, be about it. People are going to try to bring their own personal agendas and their own personal insecurities into what you do. But the true key to success in being a multi-hyphenate is that you never let those negative voices come into your mindset in any single way or form. It doesn't matter what you have to let go for those voices to stay out. Let it go. Focus on you. Focus on your vision. Focus on what your heart is telling you and what your voice is trying to tell you. It is possible. Just look at the lives of the people I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I'll leave you with one more multi-hyphenate story. Imagine if the creator of Scandal, Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, and Bridgerton never decided to start her own production company called Shondaland, which eventually led to her signing one of the biggest deals with Netflix. Imagine if she decided hey, I'm just a writer. Why am I trying to run a business? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. Alright, bye!